Good morning. My name is John, and welcome to another edition of The Voice of the Spartan. Today is February 25th, and we will be broadcasting from Chester, Connecticut. On this episode, I will be talking about the previous Rose Bowl champion football program, the Stanford Cardinals. In addition, I'll be joined by Timot Lamarre, the assistant offensive coach for the Stanford Cardinals, and we'll get his take on the team. If you didn't know much about Stanford, here's a little briefing for you. Stanford was established by Leland and Jane Stanford in 1891 in El Palo Alto, California. Their mascot is the cardinal, but don't be surprised if you see a lot of redwood trees. These beautiful trees are widely distributed about the city as well as representing the city. The current head coach of the program is David Shaw, who has coached the team for the last 5 years. Shaw has had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to coach his rising star Christian McCaffrey, who many say could very well turn out to be a guaranteed first-round draft pick after coming off second in the Heisman Trophy voting as a running back going into his junior year. Some of the many NFL players that attended Stanford University are quarterback for the Colts, Andrew Luck, tight end for the Eagles, Zach Ertz, defensive back for the Seahawks, Richard Sherman, and running back for the Jaguars, Toby Gerhart. Now I'll be joined by Mr. Timot Lamarre to hear his thoughts on the Stanford Cardinals.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get started on the interview then. Okay, so to start off, what got you interested in being an assistant coach at Stanford College?
If you want the full story, I went to college and really enjoyed the sports life at college, and was a really big fan of basketball, football, all the different sports. The college I went to, even in hockey, I was really just obsessed with the sports and the enthusiasm of college sports, and really hadn't appreciated it until I went to college. And so what ended up happening is I would get really frustrated when our team would lose, and I would feel just so helpless. And so what kind of helped me is thinking, all right, if I'm a coach, at least that way I'm putting everything I have into it. If we don't win, at least I know I put all I have into it, and I can be less devastated, I guess, is how you can look at it. So I was, it really just, and I knew football was my favorite sport, and I knew I wanted to do it at the college level. So that's kind of what helped shape me on my path to try to become a football coach. And as far as why Stanford University, it's one of the premier academic and athletic schools in the country, and I just love that mix of the academics and athletic side of things. I don't think that they have to be exclusive. I don't think that you have to either be a good athlete or a good student. I think being great in both is something everyone can shoot for. So I really liked how Stanford did that, and really is what drew me to Stanford. Also, I grew up not too far away from Stanford, so that was nice to come back home to that.
Well, after coming off a fairly successful season going 12-2, what would you say is the outlook for 2016?
So we have a lot of really young guys, but they're also very special athletes and people. So it'll be really interesting to see how they develop this year. And you just have to be excited for them getting their opportunity. We'll have to replace our quarterback and half our offensive line. So it's exciting to see these young guys really approach it with a passion, knowing that they're going to get their shot this year. So you have to be excited about it.
Agreed.
For sure.
And what are your team expectations for Christian McCaffrey after coming off second in the Heisman voting?
So he as far as special people go, I don't know if I've met a more special guy, and that's not just talking about him on the field, it's his work ethic. So usually you'd expect somebody with experiencing that kind of success there, after, a season like he had, to kind of approach his everyday work differently, but he has maintained his focus, and if anyone's got the capability of having another great season, it's Christian for sure. And he's a very hard worker, and that's not just saying it. He sets the tone for everybody else. So just having that kind of leadership is really nice this year, and you have to expect him to not really settle for less than his best. So
Sounds like a full package.
Oh yeah.
Did the team lose any seniors in this past year that will have to make or fill big holes in?
So I think replacing a quarterback is always difficult, especially somebody like Kevin Hogan, who is leading in wins for Stanford history for quarterbacks. That's always a real difficult position to fill. But we love our young guys. They're very talented, smart young guys, and great work ethic. So you're excited about that, and it's also never easy to replace half an offensive line. It's a position where, that requires chemistry and understanding, the full concepts, and so having guys who haven't started in those positions, that's always tough, but you gotta just love the amount of work that these guys are putting in to make it so there isn't a drop-off, so that we keep getting better, because that's our goal as a team, is to get better than last year, to get better than yesterday is always our mentality.
How does the incoming class look in terms of helping the Cardinals be a contender for next year?
Well, we had a very, very, very strong recruiting class this past signing day, and all the kids. What really draws them to this place is the culture and mentality that our current players have built. So when we just bring in guys with the talent level that they had, this freshman class coming in has, and apply that to a culture like we've built in our locker room, it's a good recipe for success. So it'll also bring some added depth at positions that we didn't have depth before, and so that'll be really helpful just for practicing ability. So that'll be great.
Okay. What would you say is the Cardinals' key to success?
It is absolutely the mentality of we have to think about ourselves and make ourselves better, compete against ourselves, that we can't be satisfied with just being as good as we are. We have to get better. And holding each other to that standard, knowing that it's not good enough to be as good as we were last year. That's not going to get the job done. So we have to always work to make ourselves better than we were yesterday.
Okay. And what do you think of David Shaw as a coach?
Oh, he's great. I don't know if I could ask for a better boss. He's a guy who understands the big picture. He understands it from the player's perspective and from the coach's perspective. He's a great coach. Okay.
Do you think Stanford has a chance to compete at the national championships this year, or will they need a few more years?
So that's something where, it's fun for fans to be able to think of, what will happen, but there's so much that's out of our control. So really even thinking about, national championships and things like that, it's not really something that's going to serve us. So we like to think of the process and the things that it's going to take for us to be as good as we can be. And, if we're playing as well as we can, anything's possible. So that's how we like to approach it. Just keeping our eyes on the prize as far as what we're supposed to do each day that makes us get better. And as we keep piling those days of getting better on top of each other, anything is possible. Okay. So that's how we like to approach it.
And in your mind, what makes the Stanford football program different than any other football program in the nation?
That's a really good question. There are probably a few things. Just objectively speaking, there are those rankings that come out where, in football we finished, and I don't usually like to focus on rankings because they don't really help us in the moment, but as far as how people can look at Stanford differently, the football team finished ranked number 3rd in the country, and the school finished ranked number 4 in the country. There is no school that can come close to getting in the top 5, both academically and in football. So that's probably the most obvious thing that will stick out for most people. But really, for me, it's just the emphasis on building the full person. We're not just, as far as Stanford football players, we're not looking to just make good football players, because eventually people are not going to be football players. They're going to retire, whether it's after college or after the pros. And they're going to need something to do that's going to make them useful in this world. And so building that full person is something that we really focus on. whether it be the academic side of things or just developing them as mature human beings. Is just something that I think probably sets us apart as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, that concludes my interview, and thank you so much again for your time.
Absolutely. I hope it goes well.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right.
Bye.
You too.
Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Timot Lamarre for his time for the interview. As you can see, the Cardinals look like a definite contender for next year's Rose Bowl, led by junior running back Christian McCaffrey. With Stanford losing half an offensive line and a quarterback, their future will rely on a strong recruiting group. Stanford is focusing on the present instead of the future, and working with the new recruiting group is his first priority, states Timot Lamarre. As they say, in with the new and out with the old. Overall, we have learned a lot about Mr. Timot Lamarre and the Stanford football program. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for another episode of The Voice of the Spartan.